Hello, everybody. I'm back. This is the Comic Hall. What exactly is the Comic Hall? Well, if you haven't been watching, and probably you haven't, it's a show that I did about, YouTube show, I should say, that I did about 19 months ago was when the last episode was done. 19 months. October 2014 was the last episode of that. I'm thinking that might have been before I got my new computer, because I remember my last episode, one of the main reasons why I stopped doing the Comic Hall was because my last episode was like an hour long and you couldn't hear a single word that I was saying because for whatever reason, my old computers, the sound was all screwed up. But 19 months later, I got a brand new computer. Well, I got it probably 2 months after that, but still, it's a brand new computer. I've had it for a while now. And I'm back. But there's more to it than that. But for the record, who the hell am I? Well, I'm hoping that I'm getting a lot more new viewers here. But my name is Dylan. I actually have another YouTube show that I've been doing for over 2 years. Episode 140 should be sometime this weekend. It's called Dylan Knows. It's usually on Sundays at 12:30 p.m., but it's sometimes a Saturday night. I think this week's is going to be a Saturday night. I haven't decided what I'm doing yet. It's one of those things where it's going to be last minute, and I'm going to do it then. But I was having such a great time doing that I decided, you know what, I do a comic book show once a month with my co-host MJ Khan, who's a great author, by the way, and you need to read his books. Anyway, but I figured I kind of want to do, I like doing this show. It helps raise my, what was that, the social standing, or what is that? There's some sort of weird, I don't know, thing you can do where, you know, your social media stuff helps you build, I don't know, build popularity. I don't know. The reason is I need to be popular. Well, I don't need to be popular, but I'd like to get, I like what I'm doing. I like doing my show. I like to hear myself talk. That's why I do these shows. And a lot of times what I do by myself. However, it is, you know, when life hits you, things change a little bit. So I've been doing my show, as I said, for about 2 years now. So I'm on episode about 140 right now. And I was hoping that I'd be able to do a weekly show about comics because I'm a comic book reader, collector, whatever you want to call it. And so I did one. And basically what I was going to do was going to be talking about the comics that I bought this week and show you what some of them are, because a lot of people don't know what's going on in the comic world right now. And Free Comic Book Day was a couple weeks ago. And I want to, my main goal of Free Comic Book Day is to get more people into comic book stores. So I figured if I can do this show once a week also, get more people into comic book stores. This is what I buy. Your taste might be different, but I just want to give you a taste of what's out there. My taste has been changing slightly because of the way things have been going in the comic industry. But so, as I said, I started this probably about 2 years ago, probably. I started this soon after I started my show. My show started in my Dylan Knows show, I think started in 2013. And my 3-year will be in September of this year. Because I started in September of 2013. And so I started this show in 2014. So and then I stopped doing it after about 26 episodes. Actually, it's technically less than that because I did some doubled up here. So probably about 23 episodes I did. So roughly about half a year, I guess you could say. 52 weeks, it was 26, right? Yeah, so roughly about half a year I did this show. And then, as I said, my computer crapped out on me. And I just said, yeah, you know what? No one's watching. I got all depressed. And no one's watching now, and I don't give a rat's ass because I'm doing this. I like to do it. But hopefully I'll get playback later on, and once I promote the hell out of it and hopefully get more people to watch. I did have some good viewers coming on when I did the show 2 years ago. But what makes this show different than my other show is I try to keep it under an hour. Usually it's going to be about half an hour because I have a lot of exhibition I need to get through now because it's been 19 months since I did this. 19 months. And just think of what happened in 19 months. The continual rise of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the rise of Netflix, Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Defenders and now Punisher and now supposedly Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, and a few others also. Agent Carter's rise, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. rise, you know. Avengers came out in 2012, so it was everything after the Avengers. Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out, I think, in 2014. So when my show ended, maybe it had come out. I'm trying to remember. But I don't remember. So it's just showing the rise of the comic world. And now this year in 2016, because this is May 19th, 2016, I'm going to try to keep the dates and make this more of a date-oriented show. There's a lot of stuff going on. Civil War came out, 2 weeks ago? Box office bonanza. It's a fantastic movie. Everyone needs to go out and see it. Preacher, the TV series, which I'll be talking about in a little bit, starts on Sunday on AMC. So you got to get that as well. X-Men movie comes out next week. We've still got a Doctor Strange movie coming out in November. We've got a Suicide Squad movie coming out in August. We had the first movie in the DC Cinematic Universe, which was terrible, by the way, but that's besides the point. But there's been some updates in the DC Cinematic Universe, and we'll talk about those in a second too. But I decided also that because I like to talk, and I'm going to try, as I said, I'm going to try to keep it under an hour. 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour is how, between 30 minutes and an hour is how long I want this show to be. I don't want it to be that long because my other show can be upwards of 2+ hours. And that's a lot of me, right? And maybe that's why I don't have a lot of viewers on it. I don't know. But my plan for this show is much like when I did this 2 years ago, 19 months ago. I may or may not do it every week. I'm going to try to do it every week because I get comics basically every week. But sometimes financial stuff comes up and I won't be able to buy comics, and there's also something else that came up in my life during the 19-month hiatus. I stopped buying comics for roughly about 9 to 10 months. And honestly, I'm okay with that because it didn't really make that much of a difference to me. I was spending a lot of money I really can't afford to spend anymore. But, the siren call of the comic store keeps calling. And so I started going back probably about a month or so ago. But I've been keeping it on the DL down low. So I've been trying to keep my weekly comics spending between $20 and $40 because I don't have a lot of stuff I've been seeing. I've also been noticing that I've been focusing a lot more on independence. That's about to change because another reason why I wanted to do this is because next week is the big week in the DC universe. Next Wednesday, December 25th, not December 25th, that's Christmas, May 25th, is the DC Rebirth, where they don't say it's a reboot, but DC Comics is starting over again, basically. Starting with the Rebirth, I guess like 80-page giant or whatever, which is to try to set the stage for what they're planning on doing with Rebirth. And then June 1st, you're going to start seeing the new number ones here on my comic bag. We've got the DC Universe, some of the new costumes and characters that are going to be involved with it. And there's a lot of stuff I've been excited about. Now, I've already talked in great detail about Rebirth on my Dylan Knows comic show. If you're interested, drop me a Twitter line. I'm on Twitter. I got 2 accounts. You can hit me at Holidill, HOLIDILL, or at Dylan Proco, DYLANPROCO. And let me know, hey, can you let me know your take on the Rebirth stuff, and I'll send you my, or you can just go to my YouTube page, just type in Dylan Lang, LANGE. I should be one of the first ones to pop up. You'll see me because I'll be like this with I Am Ninja. You can't see me. Picture like that, and that's when you want to go down to my playlist. You will have my Dylan Knows playlist, and it has every episode of Dylan Knows, all 139 of them, plus The Snooze, which is another show I do once a month with Tony Solo, and also my appearances on the late lamented Snark Alec Radio. So I got all that on there. It's basically about 2 weeks worth of videos. If you watch it from beginning to end, 24/7, it'd take you about 2 weeks to watch everything. It's a lot. I also have a playlist, which is my old Comic Hall series. So watch some of the older episodes and see how bad they were, including that last episode where the sound didn't work. So for an hour, you didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So you saw the pretty pictures because I'm going to show you all the comics, stuff like that. So that's another main reason why I wanted to start the show again, is because Rebirth is starting up on next week. So that's going to increase my comic spending a little bit. And I got to start making some changes. Secret War happened last summer with Marvel. They rebooted their stuff. They're getting into Civil War. Now, I'm not that interested in Civil War 2 right now, to be honest. I'm probably going to take a hiatus from a lot of Marvel comics. But I have been doing a lot more independence because there were a lot of comic podcasts and shows that I used to watch, but a lot of them aren't on the air anymore for whatever reason. So that's another reason why I said, you know what, maybe I'll come back to, and then maybe that'll bring a renaissance and more people will come back. But there's still some out there. You just got to look for them. Anyway, my plan for the Dylan, the new comic haul is talking about any upcoming news, reviews, recommendations, before I get into what comics I bought, just to give you a little bit more girth, as it were, to the episode, instead of just, hey, this is me talking about the comics I bought. And I think you'd be interested in. Since I've already wasted about 10 minutes on that, I'm probably not going to get much more. But just be aware, Preacher is coming on AMC. I think it's 10 o'clock starting Sunday, and then it reverts to its 9 o'clock time slot, taking the place of Fear the Walking Dead next week. So get caught up on Preacher like that. I'll probably do some reviews on that if I can try to get this to be every week. And as I said, next week's going to be big. I'll be talking about Rebirth. Any movies, any news that are coming up. The big news is the DC Cinematic Universe has put Jeff Johns in charge now of the DC Cinematic Universe, which is, I think, a good move, because Superman, Batman, Dawn of Justice was awful. I never saw it, but from what I've heard and read, and I've read reviews and I've read other people, and my friend MJ, my co-host MJ, he saw it and he said it was terrible and too dark and stuff like that. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be when I was hearing all this stuff. So Suicide Squad might be better, and then Wonder Woman looks like it's going to be good next year. But I have no desire to see the Flash, because there's already a very good Flash on TV, and we'll see what happens. But interesting stuff happening. Harley Quinn is going to be getting her own solo movie also, so that's going to be coming up soon as well. And that's the big stuff in the DC Cinematic Universe. In the television verse, Supergirl has been is going to be joining the CW along with Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. So you get a new comic book show every Monday through Thursday on the CW, and they're going to do a big crossover. And you also have the groundwork for a good Justice League now too. So sounds good. There's also a whole ton of other comic book stuff coming out. Powerless, which is a sitcom based in the DC comic universe, is going to come on in the fall. Preacher, as I talked about, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is being moved to a 10 o'clock time slot, which is death for a lot of things. So we'll see what happens with that. But they're going for a fourth season. Luke Cage will be coming out later this year. Daredevil Season 2 came out earlier this year. Iron Fist and the Defenders will be out probably next year, and Jessica Jones 2 will be out sometime the next year, along with the Punisher. So we got a lot of stuff happening on Netflix, and a lot of movies. As always, as I said, we got Suicide Squad coming up. We got X-Men Apocalypse coming up. We got Doctor Strange coming up. So a lot of really good, interesting comic stuff. And this is the time, so I figured it's time. 19 months has been enough time, and hopefully I'll be able to keep up to it. So here I am 15 minutes into my show. I haven't even talked about any comics I got. So let me take another swig of my drink. Good stuff. And let's do the first in 19 months of the comic haul. Again, these are just comics that I've got this week and are out now. So you might want to check it out. These came out yesterday. I'm going to try and maybe do it on Wednesdays, but I didn't know I wanted to do this till today. So that's why I waited till today to do it. Sometimes I don't get my comics till Friday, so it might not be till the weekend or whatever, or Friday. Or then sometimes I might say, you know what, it's too late to do it time. I'll do a double episode of 2 weeks worth of comics, because most comic stores will have last week's stuff up on their shelf as well. So if you miss something, you can go pick it up. But there's lots of stuff I want to talk about. I try to do it in order of the big companies. So DC is first alphabetically. Well, Dark Horse is a big one, but I consider DC and Marvel the big ones, and then everything else is independent. So the book of the week is Future Quest #1. What is Future Quest, Dylan? Well, as you can see, it's Space Ghost and his crew. It's a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. It's fantastic. Basically, what is Future Quest? Well, DC owns the rights to the Hanna-Barbera characters, Space Ghost, Herculoids, Johnny Quest, Birdman. Who else is in this? I don't know who else is in here. But they've decided that they are going to be doing upgrades of the Hanna-Barbera series and make it more contemporary and make it more, I guess, maybe not grown up, but make it more comic oriented. So this is the first one to lead that. Another one coming up is going to be Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, which is going to be the Scooby-Doo crew reimagined as if they were surviving an apocalypse. That one's got me excited because the dream team of Keith Giffen and James DeMatteis are writing it. They're the ones who did the fantastic, hilarious Justice League. And we also have Amanda Connor writing an update of the Flintstones, which I think is going to be amazing. They've got a Mad Max-esque Wacky Racers series coming up also. And I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting something, but and then, of course, Future Quest, which is actually going to be a big one because it's going to combine Space Ghost, the Herculoids, Birdman, Johnny Quest, all their action-adventure characters under one big storyline. It's written by Jeff Parker, who is well known for writing those types of things. And it's got some gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. Let's see if I can get I mean, I get the entire cast list here. Yes, here we go. Evan Doc Shaner is doing the majority of the artwork for Space Ghost and the Herculoids. And then the great and wonderful Steve Rude is coming in, and he's doing his fantastic. I think that's Steve Rude. Is doing his Steve Rude-esque work, which is gorgeous. There's Birdman as well. So you got Birdman there, and here you got so I can get a good picture of Shaner doing his work. There's a good Jeff Shaner picture. So there's some Shaner, Johnny Quest, and his buddy. And then you get the reveal at the end of Space Ghost. So got some good stuff. It comes in multiple covers by different artists. I picked this one because I like Sienkiewicz's covers. There's a really good one also, the Herculoids, which I almost picked up, but I saw the Sienkiewicz one. I was like, got to have that one. And there's I think another Johnny Quest one or whatever. But really excited for this book. Can't wait to read it. It also has lots of ads in here for the Rebirth that's coming up. So I highly recommend everybody should, if you want to start off, #1s are always good. If you remember these from your childhood, or you just want something really cool, action-oriented, that can be technically probably all ages. Jeff Parker will probably add a little bit something to it, but I think they're going to be trying for an all ages thing. Feel for it. Pick up Future Quest. Came out today, or rather came out Wednesday, and still probably going to be plenty of issues available. So that should be good. Once I gave up comics and I decided to come back into it, I started looking. I was like, you know what? I don't want to jump into a series that I had started. So like I've been collecting, Batmans and Supermans and Spider-Man, stuff like that. And then I was away for 9 months. I haven't gotten them back up. So I don't want to jump and say my last year's like 25. Now they're like on 50 or something like that. And I was like, I don't want to jump right into that. So I'm trying to find books that had #1s or looked interesting to me or I heard about through different things. And this was one of those. I was able to pick up the first couple issues, and then I've been buying it religiously since I've gotten back into comics. It's Poison Ivy, Cycle of Life and Death, #5. It's the penultimate issue, I guess you could say. It's a 6-issue miniseries, next to last issue, which focuses on Poison Ivy, obviously. And it's written by Amy Chu, so it's great to have a female writing it. So that alone is reason to pick this up. You also have artwork by Clay Mann and Steven Segovia, with inks by Seth Mann, Sam Dufloria, and Art Thibbert. So you got a whole bunch of different things in here, and a whole big thing about Rebirth in there as well. So then you've got some pretty nice artwork here and there. And as I said, Amy Chu is the writer. It's a good picture of Ivy. So it looks good. The book looks gorgeous. I haven't read it all yet. That's the problem. I haven't really had a chance to read a lot, but I'm going to start trying to when I get a second. So I highly recommend picking up. If you can find the other Poison Ivies, you might not. My store tends to keep 2 or 3 months worth on the shelf. And if you want to check the back issue bin, you can, or you can wait for the trade, which will be out soon enough. But that's my second one there. I was collecting this book when I started doing the comic haul. And this is one of the books where what I just said, where I said I'm not going to jump into a series unless it's like a #1 again. This one gets thrown out the door because of how great the series is and how easily you can jump into the series and not get lost. I've talked about this series a whole bunch of times, and I'm going to keep talking about it because it is one of the absolute greatest comic book series of all time. And I'm not just blowing smoke. It's been around for a long time, and I love it. And it's Astro City. Astro City is back. They've been back for a while now. And the good news is, despite they've had a sketchy publishing history, because Kurt Busiek, who's the writer, wanted to keep Brent Anderson, his artist, to draw every issue. And that gets kind of hard after a while, especially for Brent Anderson, who's been around since the 70s and 60s. So he's getting older, and it's harder for him to do that. So when Kurt had planned, so he did a bunch of mini-series that Brent could work on. And he also got Alex Ross, who's also been with it from the beginning, to do character designs and the covers. Here's a gorgeous cover. I'm just trying not to get the reflection off of it. Let's see. That's the best. The light is above me, so I want to probably be off more to the side. So, but it's gorgeous. It's one of his great characters. And it's a lot of self-contained stories. It's a lot of maybe 1 or 2 part stories, and it moves on. But Astro City is, and I'll repeat again, it is a fantastic-ish comic. And when Kurt Busiek decided he wanted to do a monthly, he said, okay, I know I'm not going to be able to get Brent to do every issue, but I'm going to have him do as many damn well as he can. And he throws in some other guest artists in there as well. So it's been fairly good about being on a monthly schedule. And in this case, this one isn't drawn by Brent Anderson. This is drawn by Ron Randall, who's a good pickup, also a very strong writer, or artist rather. Kurt Busiek is a strong writer, but there's some of the good Rob Randall artwork. And Astro City is a great saga. Ooh, when's this coming out? Ooh, June. That's right. I got to check that out. I'm sorry, I just saw an ad for the Vertigo Batman book written by Paul Dini, so I can't wait to see that. Anyway, when you'll hear about it here on the Comic Call. Astro City, for those who don't know, I highly recommend go to your comic store and pick up every trade you can of this. My store has weekly sales where they do 50% off of their trades, so you can pick up 2 for the price of 1. And read them. You'll love it. It's just basically Astro City is a city that happens to have a lot of superheroes in it. And the series takes a look at the people who live in the city with all these superheroes and supervillains in it, and how they are reacting to it. Like if there's a superhero battle that destroys a cafe, and then the superhero battle moves on. Well, what happens to the cafe owner? What happens to the cafe patrons? What goes on with that? You find out what goes on with them. And you also get a good look into the private lives of the superheroes as well. It's published by Vertigo, which is the imprint of DC. This is issue 35, and I highly recommend you pick up every trade you can and read every issue you can, because Astro City is one of the absolute greatest comic series of all time. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not just blowing smoke. Read the first trade, Life in Big City, and you'll find out. You'll be hooked. And the comics are pretty easy, as I said, to pick up as well. You might not know the characters, but Kurt Busiek's really good at doing exposition without making it seem like he's doing exposition. So go for it. So that's it for the DC stuff. As I said, not a lot. My hauls are going to be a lot smaller than they used to be because I got to save money for various reasons. My car, my kids are getting older. I got to make sure I have enough money for food and gas and repairs on various things, and make sure I have my house, pay my mortgage. So voila. Get to Marvel. There's not a lot of Marvel. There's only 2 actually. As I said, I'm probably not going to read it, or I might just read the main series. I'm not going to read all the secondary limited series and stuff like that come. We'll see. Maybe the Spider-Man ones, we'll see. But Civil War 2 number 0 starts here. We had a little brief look at it in the Free Comic Book Day issue. Now we get the first issue, number 0, written by Brian Michael Bendis, with artwork by Oliver Coipel. And because they're trying to piggyback onto the popularity of the Civil War movie, it's out there now, they're doing Civil War 2. This time, instead of Captain America being on one side, it's going to be the great Captain Marvel on one side against Iron Man on the other. So Oliver Coipel does great artwork, and Bendis is Bendis. So looks like She-Hulk is going to be a big part of the series as well. So she's involved in that. There's another better view of She-Hulk there. So that's good on that. So this is going to set up what's going on with Civil War. And looks like they destroy major city. So we'll see what happens with this. So I guess we'll get in more detail and find out more about that. So Civil War 2 number 0 is out. Get in on the ground floor of the huge Marvel Summer crossover, which, if it follows to form, will not end until next year. I know that sounds bad, but come on, man. Every year they start a crossover in the summer, and due to whatever reasons, it gets delayed, and the final issue doesn't come out until like next year. That will. But go ahead, check it out. Bendis is writing it. Oliver Coipel just did the number 0. I forget. I think David Marquez is doing the artwork for the Civil War proper. So Civil War number 2. And finally, my last Marvel is a great series that, if you're a huge fan of Doctor Who, you should read this book. You wouldn't believe it that it has a connection to Doctor Who, but it does. It's Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer number 4. Dan Slott, who's been writing Spider-Man for decades, has, maybe not literally decades, but has been writing it for a long time. Started writing Silver Surfer somewhat, I guess it was last year, or maybe even around the time that I stopped working on my show, on the Comic Hall. And he's been doing a pretty good run with Mike Allred, who's great. As you can see by the cover, it's a fantastic cover. I love this cover. It's great. Basically, Dan Slott is a huge Doctor Who fan, and so basically he's turning Silver Surfer into Doctor Who, and this is Dawn Greenwood. She's his companion, and he's doing basically a Doctor Who series. So, you love Mike Allred's artwork. You love it or you hate it. I love it. It fits perfectly for the series. And I just got to show you this picture just of all the Marvel heroes. So check out Silver Surfer if you're a fan of Doctor Who. I think you'd really like this. As I said, they're on issue number 4. This is the reboot that came on after Secret War. Before that, there was like some 12 or 13 issues before Secret War. So that slot worked on, so you get the general idea of what's going on, and then they just start over again. So pick that up. I'm going to continue to pick that up because I love the series too. That's it for my Marvel and DC. So I was like, wow, that's not a lot, but you know what? That's okay. As I said, next week is Rebirth, and after that, there's a lot of Rebirth books I'm going to get. So there's going to be a lot more maybe DC heavy stuff. And Marvel, I'm trying to get caught up on stuff. I've been getting trades a lot lately since I missed 9 to 10 months. I've been getting trades to get trying to caught up on the issues that I haven't been reading. So that's what I'm going to do about that. So without further ado, I'm going to do my independents now. First up, I got a couple of IDW series. IDW is when I worked for Diamond Comics, it was one of my accounts when I was a brand manager. So I'm glad to see them doing real well. They tend to do a lot of licensing comics, and these two are no different. First one that came out this week was Micronauts #2. Micronauts #1 came out not too long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. So you might be able to find #1 still around. It's written by Cullen Bunn, who's a fantastic writer. Artwork is by Max Dunbar. If you like the Micronauts, they're sort of a 1980s miniature version of like Transformers. They came out when the Transformers were hot, or they might have been first, and then Transformers overcame them. But it's Cullen Bunn. Cullen Bunn's a fantastic writer, and the artwork looks crisp and clean, and it's giant robots. And supposedly Micronauts are going to start getting really back into view again, pop culture again, because I think they are going to be making movies about them, and they're going to be connected to Transformers supposedly. So we'll see what happens. But Cullen Bunn, fantastic writer. Artwork doesn't look too bad. It's robots. That's all you need to know, with big knives. And of course, there's Winona. Check that out. Sci-Fi's Friday nights, 10 o'clock. So another comic book series on TV. That's from IDW also. I don't collect the comic series, but I watched the show, and it's a great show. So I highly recommend it. Ooh, we need to watch the episode we missed last week. I guess we can watch it at 9 because it doesn't come on until 10. We'll find out. Then we also have Mars Attacks #3. Actually, it's Mars Attacks Occupation #3. They've owned the rights to Mars Attacks for a while. They've done a bunch of Mars Attacks series. Mars Attacks is an underrated Tim Burton movie, and I like it a lot. And it's based on a card series about killer aliens from Mars. This is written by John Layman, and Andy Kuhn is the artist. And in this case, the Martians have taken over the Earth, and they are ruling the Earth. So obviously there's going to be a rebellion, and the humans are going to try to save the day. So once again, it was the #1. The Mars Attacks was really not much of a difference you can do. You know, not if you're not really missing anything, because they have self-contained series. If you like them, did that. So I picked up #3. You might be able to pick up 1 and 2 before that. #3 came out this week. So that's it for IDW. Titan Comics, which is a British comic company. They do the Doctor Who comics. They have Doctor Who comics for, let me see, the 4th Doctor, which I think is Richard Baker, I think, 4th or 5th Doctor. The 8th Doctor, 9th Doctor, 10th Doctor, 11th Doctor, and 12th Doctor all have their own series. And then they're going to have a giant crossover, which you'll be seeing here on the Comic Hall when the first issue comes out. Coming out this summer, so that'll be good. And they do some others as well, but they also have the rights to do Independence Day. This is Independence Day #3. The sequel to Independence Day is coming out in movie theaters end of June. So they're really pushing for it a lot. This comic series I haven't read it yet, but I think it takes place before Resurgence, which is the new movie coming out, but after the original Independence Day. It's written by, where are you? Written by Victor Gischler with artwork by Alex Scheibo. So it follows probably a bunch of different characters, and they're trying to investigate the alien wreckage and trying to go up against the aliens as well, and take them on. So if you liked Independence Day and are looking forward to the sequel, you might want to read the comic before then. So that's by Titan. Aftershock Comics is a independent company that has been doing really well lately, with some really outside the box books. I also read Rough Riders, which came out last week. And I can see Genesis was written by Paul Jenkins, but I'll have to check that later. And it's got some writers you're pretty used to. These are some of the writers and artists who are a part of Aftershock Comics. You'll recognize some of them: Paul Jenkins, George Genti, Dexter Vines, Joe Pruitt, Simon Kodransky, Adam Glass, Patrick Olive, Brian Azzarello, Ray Fawkes, David Hine, Joe Pruitt, as I said, Justin Jordan, Garth Ennis. These are all people who are have done comics for DC, Marvel, stuff like that, are now doing their independent stuff, mature reader books. I think Aftershock is also the home of Insects, Sexts, written by Marguerite Bennett, which is fantastic also. And she's also got a new book coming from them upcoming later on, which you'll see in the comic hall, Animals, something or other about animals who become able to talk and do stuff and then take on their human overlords. But I've been trying to get caught up. Some of the other people, Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor, have a book called Delete, which is from them as also. And there's a whole bunch of books out there. So go check out Aftershock. It's one of the new up-and-coming independence ones. Well, again, as I said, I'm trying to get number ones. Stuff that looks interesting. So I decided I will go with Black Eyed Kids #2. Black Eyed Kids #1 came out about a month or so ago. I picked that up. I'm going to start picking up #2. This one's written by Joe Pruitt and Simon Kodransky. For those who don't know, Black Eyed Kids are like a new supernatural thing, where kids with black eyes come and they are supposed to take people to their deaths or whatever. So Joe Pruitt decided he was going to write a story about them, and Simon Kodransky is doing it. So I love the art covers by Frank Avella, who also did my Spirit shirt that I got for Free Comic Book Day also. I love his stuff too. He's mostly known for Archie stuff. He does Afterlife with Archie. That new issue of that should be coming out soon too. You'll see that on the comic hall also. So fantastic. So Black Eyed Kids, pick it up. You should like it. Dark Horse. I didn't really get into what Matt Kent did before. I forget what he wrote before, but it was fairly popular. And I read a review of this book, and they said they really, really liked it. It's like a murder mystery that takes place underwater. So Matt Kent is the writer, and Charlene Kent, I guess, is the artist. Is that, I guess, related? I guess his wife or something. But it's a, if I heard, it's like an underwater murder mystery. As I said, I got the first issue. I haven't read the first issue yet, and I'll read it eventually. I'll read it too. But I wanted to keep up with it. Issue #2. So it's got sort of that really independent Jeff Lemire type of atmosphere to it. But it's written by Matt Kent, who I forget what he wrote, but a lot of people really like what he did. And I'm trying to remember what it was, but that's, I'm starting to pick that up as well. Speaking of Archie, Archie is having a heck of a renaissance. Another thing in news I want to mention is the CW has picked up the Riverdale pilot, which means they will be going to series. It's not coming out in the fall. It'll probably be a mid-season replacement. And they had their first ad to make it seem more like a Twin Peaks-esque thing. So I love Twin Peaks, and Archie should be interesting. But Archie's been doing a lot of really interesting things. Now, when people say Archie, the first thing you think of is Archie and Betty and Veronica and kind of Goof and Jughead and kind of a goofy high school goofy series. And that's what it is. I mean, it's all age stuff like that. Well, Archie introduced the first gay character, full character, regular cast member. He got his own series, which is hugely popular. Then they created Life with Archie. They said, what if Archie married, I think it was either Betty or Veronica, and what he did as a grown-up after high school. So they covered that. Then they killed him. And then they decided they were going to do a different type of Archie while still doing the other Archies. They're doing Afterlife with Archie, which is the Archie group during the zombie apocalypse. And that's, as I said, Frank Avila did the artwork. Roberto Segura is doing the, Geyer Segura is doing the writing. And that book should be coming back out in June. I think I heard they're coming back out there. And then there's Sabrina, which is going to be attached to Afterlife with Archie, which is a horror book. So they did 4 issues, and then it sort of disappeared for a while. Well, guess what? Sabrina number 5 came out this week. So we're back. It's more horrific. It's written by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. I'm sorry, is the one who's writing Afterlife with Archie. It's artwork by Robert Hack, and it's a much darker Sabrina than you're used to. Than what you get from the TV show with Melissa Joan Hart. So it's a lot darker, it's a lot more grown up, and a lot more horrific. Archie's not just for kids, and I highly recommend you check it out. Plus, they're also going to be, they rebooted the Archie series as well to make it more modern. And Mark Waid is writing Archie. Chip Zdarsky is writing Jughead, and Adam Hughes is going to be writing and drawing Betty and Veronica when that comes out next month, I think. So again, you'll probably see that one on my show as well, because I'm dying to see that, because I love Adam Hughes' stuff. So if you want to pick up Archie and you hear Archie and you want to get caught up before Riverdale starts next year, pick up the more modern Archie with Mark Waid, who's a great comic book writer, Chip Zdarsky, who's a great comic writer for Jughead, and Adam Hughes like that. Or if you like the old school Archie, it's still out there too. Go ahead and pick that up. If you want more horror Archie, you got Afterlife with Archie and your Sabrina. So go for it. It's everybody. It takes care of everybody. Get to the tail end. I know I went a little long today, but this is my first episode back in 19 months. So I promise you the episodes won't be quite as long next time. The next one is from Image. Another series that I absolutely love and that I'm trying to get caught back up on. I don't want to wait for trades. I want to get the issues. And as I said, my comic store has a lot of the issues up on the shelf or in back issue bins. And I'm a little disappointed because issue number 19 was supposed to come out this week, and my store did not get it for whatever reason. They didn't get some books a couple weeks ago. There might be an issue with distribution. I don't know. So I figured, you know what? 19 is going to be coming. It's the beginning of a new story arc. I may as well pick that up when it comes out, when we get it next week. But let me get caught up with what I got. I ended when I went on my hiatus, I think I was on issue 12. And now issue 19 is coming out, but it had a little break in there for a while. So it wasn't like, oh, you've only been gone for 7 months. No, it's been a little bit longer than that. But this is a great series. If you like history, I was a history major. You'll like this. If you like alternative history, you'll like this. And this is one of those books and one of those ideas is like, why didn't I come up with this idea? Because it sounds like something I would come up with. The book is Manifest Destiny. I got 3 issues here. These are all back issues, which I need to get caught back up on. I still got some holes. As I said, I think issue 12 was my last one. So I got issue 13. I don't have issue 14. I got issue 15. I don't have issue 16 or 17. Here's issue 18. So I got to pick up some more. And 19 I should be getting that next week. But Manifest Destiny is written by Chris Dinges with artwork by Matthew Roberts and Owen Gianni. And the basic premise behind it is, what if Lewis and Clark, when they were investigating, crossing the United States, they were the first people to cross the United States after we got all the territories and they came under our control. No one knew what was out there, so the president sent Lewis and Clark to go and take notes and pictures and stuff like that. What if Lewis and Clark, when they went into the wild, which they don't know what's out there because they've never been out to the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest. They don't know what's out there, and there's not any cities and stuff like that. So there's lots of forests and lakes and stuff like that. What if they discover supernatural creatures? And that's the premise of Manifest Destiny. They've taken care of all kinds of, they've met all kinds of weird creatures on here. The new story arc is supposed to deal with Bigfoot, so that's what I'm really excited about. But this one looks like it's going to be about talking bluebirds that look like that. But as I said, it's like supernatural storylines, and the artwork is gorgeous. It's historical, you know, and it's such a great premise. You know, what if, you know, you don't know what's out there? They didn't know at that time. We didn't know what was out there. So what if all this stuff really happened? There were ghosts and zombies and giant killer frogs and killer plants and Bigfoots and stuff like that. You gotta love it. So this was the final issue of the current story arc before the new one starts. So issue 19 is supposed to be out this week. It didn't come out this week. But you know, so it's such a great premise. It's good story. I've read issues up to this one, so I need to get caught up on the other one so I can continue reading it straight through. And it's just such a great idea. You know, supernatural creatures, supernatural things out in an area that nobody knows about. So I love it. All right, 2 more little things, and then we're gonna say goodnight. It should take us to the full hour. So, as I mentioned before, Preacher starts on Sunday. Produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, and a very interesting cast. I think the cast list is in here. You know, Dominic Cooper plays Jesse Custer. Ruth Nega plays Tulip O'Hare. Joseph Gilgun plays Cassidy. Lucy Griffiths plays Emily. I think is a new character. I don't remember him. Sheriff Root is played by W. Earl Brown. There's Arseface. Oops, sorry. There's Arseface, played by Ian Coletti. DeBlanc and Fiore are Anatol Youssef and Tom Brook. And Donnie Schenk plays Derek Wilson. So, Preacher. I got into Preacher thanks to Allison Berry, who I think still hosts the Comic Hangout, which is a great YouTube show, but I haven't seen an episode in a really long time, ever since Jessica Moms Reads Comics left the show. They really haven't been doing as much. Her and Karen Darula used to do stuff. But I had her on my Dylan Knows show last year, and she talked me into reading Preacher. So I got all the trades, and I read it and devoured it, I should say, in a few weeks. And I loved Preacher. I absolutely loved it. Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon, fantastic. And then when I heard they're going to be doing the series, like, okay, that should be a lot of fun. So the series starts on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to it, but there are probably going to be a lot of people who don't know who Preacher is and don't have time to read the Preacher stuff. So my local comic store had this. I don't know if yours would, but you might want to check. This is the free Preacher issue, which basically is a primer for everything you need to know about Preacher, written by Garth Ennis with art by Steve Dillon. I haven't read it yet, but I've been leafing through it. It looks just basically like it's a primer about who the characters are, what you're going to be seeing, what the tone of the series is going to be. So if you've never read Preacher and are interested in the TV show, but want to get a little bit background before the TV show, maybe your comic store should have this. I got this for free, so it's like free with purchase. I think they're offering it. So pick this up and read it, or read it, you know. But I will let you know next week what I thought of Preacher. Hopefully it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. Finally, I eulogized him on my show Sunday, but I figured since this is a Comic Haul show and I bought this book, I didn't buy it on Wednesday, I bought it on Sunday. I feel I should eulogize him again because he was a master. Darwin Cook, artist, writer extraordinaire, passed away this past weekend due to complications of cancer. He was 58 years old, something like that. He did New Frontier, which is a great Elseworld story with the DC heroes in the 40s through the 60s. He worked on the Batman animated series with Paul Dini, and also Batman Beyond and Superman, I think he worked on as well. And then he jumped over to DC, did a bunch of miniseries here and there, graphic novels. His first story ever did was Batman Ego, a trade paperback, which he wrote and drew. He also wrote and drew Selina's Big Score, which led to him taking over the art chores for the brand new reboot of Catwoman written by Ed Brubaker from a few years ago. He didn't last long but still he was on there. And he's been doing, various things here and there, doing some Jonah Hex with his friends, Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor. And lots of other stuff, but he's a great talent. And at this point, they passed away. His last work that I remember, for IDW, who also did adaptations of the book series Parker. But the last thing I remember he did was for Vertigo, DC. I mean, there might be still something out there that might be released now. But I didn't get the series when it came out because, again, it was during my hiatus from comics. But I got the trade, came out this past week, not this Wednesday, last Wednesday. The Twilight Children, written by Gilbert Hernandez, who wrote Love and Rockets, which is a great series, but Darwin did the artwork, and it's basically a weird supernatural Twilight Zone-esque type of series. Gilbert Hernandez is a great writer, and Darwin Cook's artwork is just masterful to behold. So I plan on reading this. I had never read it before. It's Darwin Cook. It's Gilbert Hernandez. But I had to buy it to eulogize our good friend Darwin Cook. So that's my haul for this week. I hope you enjoy it. As I said, I had no viewers. I know nobody was expecting me to do this, and hopefully I'll get some viewers when I post it on social media and all that stuff. And as I said, I will try my hardest to make this weekly. I will also try to add a little extra stuff to it to get more people in. And who knows, maybe I might have a guest or two telling me what they bought this week as well. We shall see, shan't we? But for now, this is Dylan Lang for the Comic Haul. Week of 5/19/16. How about that? 5/19. Actually, it should be 5/18 because actually technically yesterday was the Wednesdays. But it was done. It was filmed on 5/19. 19-month hiatus. It was 2014 when the last time I did a Comic Haul. We're back here, 2016, talking comics. Next week, the big one is Rebirth, #1. Excuse me. Which should be brilliant. I'll be talking a lot about that. And who knows what else is coming out next week. So if you want to find out what's coming out next week, check out the Comic Haul. Hopefully I'll be able to do it next week, next Wednesday, hopefully, when the comic actually comes out. If not, it'll be either Thursday or Friday if I decide to get comics on Friday, which is a possibility too, depending on finances. So if you don't see a new episode on Wednesday, it might be on Friday. It might be on the weekend. Okay. For now, it looks like I'll be doing an episode of Dylan Knows. If you like this, check out my other show, Dylan Knows. I don't always talk comics, but I talk a lot of comics there as well. I think this week's episode, number 140, is going to be on Saturday night, 9 o'clock. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to be doing yet. So it's just going to be me solo again, I think. So if you want to check that out. All right, on that note, I'm just going to be shy of an hour, but that's good. You know what? That's fine. I need to get moving. It is a school day, school night, and a work day, and tomorrow's Friday. So enjoy your week. Go to the comic book store this week. Pick up some of those books I showed you, or some ones that there's a lot of other ones that came out that I didn't buy. You might be interested in getting some of those. So go ahead and pick those up as well and enjoy them. And pick up some older stuff if you're looking for some stuff you're looking for. Pick up some trades if you want to get caught up, especially with Astro City. I would highly recommend that as well. And pick up some stuff. So as I said, next week, look for us to talk about Rebirth and anything else. Sunday night, 10 o'clock, Preacher series premiere. Check that out as well. If you haven't seen it already, go see Captain America Civil War. If you have seen it, go out and see it again. All right, guys. Have a good night and pleasant reading.